I wanted to share a story coming out of Denver, Colorado, my home state and hometown. And there's some disturbing news out there. We got some people wilding out there because their businesses aren't doing so well, and we see the knives coming out. This story from the Rooster magazine. According to leaked emails, JAD's Mile High Smoke Shop complained, or I'm sorry, Mile High Smoke rather, complained about weed lounges and events. Stacy Davis, whose husband is the owner of JAD's Mile High Smoke, emailed more than 20 various government officials complaining of multiple cannabis consumption events that happened in Denver in an attempt to shut them down and shut them out. Remember earlier this summer when your favorite venues for cannabis hospitality and private events like the Tetra Lounge and Ant Life all received warnings or tickets because they allowed consumption of cannabis on their properties? Originally, we thought the city of Denver was just busting balls. However, it's recently been brought to light via leaked screenshots, which we've included in this, and we're going to post it up on our story here, that the reason the companies all received these aforementioned ball busting letters was because the wife of the owner of the only cannabis consumption bar in Colorado complained to various enforcement agencies. Indeed, it would appear that Stacy Davis, whose husband Joshua Davis owns JAD's Mile High Smoke, complained to various members of the Marijuana Enforcement Division, the MED, Denver government, and even the mayor's office and the chief of police in an attempt to extinguish what she refers to as continued illegal consumption of cannabis in Denver. I roll. But what we would offer to as Thursday night would exist. We've been saying it for years. We'll say it again. Capitalists are like thieves. There's no honor among them either. We received screenshots of the emails from Nicholas Barreto, the cannabis connoisseur 007, who explained that the emails were sent to him anonymously. Before we get into the content of the emails, though, you're going to need a little backstory. Long ago, during a golden yet forgotten age, circa 2021, the city of Denver allowed the consumption of cannabis in private venues. The idea was that if the venue was down, you could roll up to a place like Tetra and spark up while you watched whatever shenanigans were scheduled to take place that night. Then, starting in 2022, the city of Denver said, never mind, get fucked. They amended their codes and regulations and rules to dictate that the businesses had to get approved for a hospitality license through the MED before submitting an application to the city of Denver. Sound familiar? Back in the first grade, we called a move like this takesies backsies. And even in the ill-remembered days of our youth, it was generally considered a dick move. As the city of Denver amended its rules to create a plethora of loopholes and hurdles for these various establishments, one establishment had the capital to navigate all of the bureaucratic bullshit and now refers to itself as the first cannabar in quotes in Denver. Did you guess that it was JAD's? Good job. Multiple venues across the Denver area continue to operate the way they had for a few years. After all, no harm, no foul, right? Well, not if you're the owner of JAD's, or as Davis puts in her email, the only legal retail hospitality venue in the state. We don't want to reference elementary school 2 times in the article, but does it sound like someone is bad at sharing with you? Davis outlined the plethora of events, alleging them as illegal and urging the city of Denver to shut them down before they happened. Some of these events included Turk Talks, the Pot Girl Summer Tour, various sessions and events, and even yoga classes. Real action will be required, wrote Davis to the more than 20 recipients in her emails. Actual consequences need to be administered because right now every single licensed brand in the state thinks they have an unfettered access to give products away freely at unlicensed and illegal consumption events. While we're pretty positive that the cannabis overdose isn't even possible, we think we almost died from the overconsumption of Karen-esque energy found in these emails. Your eyes rolled into the back of our head at everything she said. Davis goes on to allege that various cannabis companies will be bringing illegal products to give away freely for consumption at this ticketed publicly available sesh event. These types of events go on daily under our nose and without tacit approval. This may be unrelated, but the last time we went to the liquor store where these guys at the front giving out samples of whiskey and IPAs, food for thought. Davis then finished her email with the thinly veiled threat to the Denver Mayor Mike Johnston to get the media involved. Mr. Mayor, welcome to the team, wrote Davis. Perhaps everyone receiving information in one fell swoop will hasten activity. I'm happy to invite the news stations to the next chat we have. Stacey Davis's unfounded attacks on the cannabis community as a whole, including event organizers, not only tarnished the legacy of cannabis pioneers, but also cast a shadow on the cherished community events like Stoner Cinema Pop-Up, Beretta told Rooster in an interview. We went on to condemn the micro sales that are becoming more and more prevalent in the Denver scene. When we say micro sales, we're referring to businesses or someone that acts as a middleman between the dispensary and the cannabis user and has the gall to, we don't even know, charge $30 for a half gram of concentrate. The proliferation of micro business sales, or I'm sorry, micro cannabis sales is a concerning trend, especially when you peel back the layers to see it for what it truly is. A tactic to increase tax revenue to the expense of both consumer and small business, says Barreto. Stacey Davis's actions only serve to exacerbate the issue. By creating division and instability in our industry, she's playing right into the hands of those who seek to capitalize on us, undermining the ethos of the Colorado cannabis community. This story, it goes on a little longer, but just to summarize in the end, I mean, this is just ridiculous, and this shows the complicity of licensing authorities in these states. How can they only justify giving one license? Why are they only allowing that to be a norm? You have to open this up. This isn't right. And you have somebody who's actually out there naming names who, friends of mine, dear friends of mine, have actually been named in these allegations as well, which is completely unfounded. Shout out Shisha Lefa, shout out Marijuana Mansion, shout out Tetra Lounge. All these guys out there are just doing it for the community. And let's be honest, we just need a place to go. How can you enforce something so ridiculous and pejorative as these cannabis rules on smoking and where to smoke when you have this discrepancy all throughout the country? Half these states are saying you can't smoke inside your house. Half of them say you can smoke where cigarettes are smoked. What's right and what's wrong, we don't know. But what's wrong is snitching. Quit snitching out there. Quit dry snitching on yourself. Quit snitching on your fellow business owners. It's ridiculous. Get a life. I don't know what to say, but
Just get stitches.
I'm a little saddened. But what do you all have to say about this? Please let me hear it.
Shout out to Michael Diaz Rivera, one of our faithful listeners. He's got a delivery service out in Denver, Colorado. So support Better Days Delivery. I just think that the snitching part is not cool at all. I think that that what does the law say in Denver? Do we know? Do we know what it actually says about public consumption? Are you only allowed to smoke in your house?
So here's where it gets a little tricky, right? Because these are private events held in, private settings that aren't
Right.
open to the public. You have to be on an RSVP list. You have to have a ticket to the event. These are private events for all intents and purposes. You're not just saying, hey, anyone could come off the street and just smoke down in my venue. That's not what's happening, and that's what these claims are being made to sound like, right? That it's just they're openly like consuming cannabis and people are allowing it. And what's happening is you have a business owner whose business is obviously hurting. Maybe adopt a different business model. Maybe have pay somebody to come help you kind of give a facelift to your business so you're not hurting as bad. But obviously, if they're taking these extreme measures to stop their competition, they're not the vibe. You know what I mean? So what it's like
Which
there's
part of
there's
it?
There's just,
Boycott them.
but the problem is the licensing requirements for a lounge, for any type of restaurant or whatever, where you're going to host people. You have to meet these exacerbated, you know conditions that are set upon these businesses to have a lounge to smoke, when the cigar lounges and whatever are able to do whatever they want wherever they want. So I think there's more to it, but initially, all I gotta say is I feel for the operators, and we're standing behind those operators that are having to fight this kind of trash. Just keep fighting the good fight. Hopefully, there's a resolution, but I don't think the city of Denver is gonna, see past this. I think there's gonna be more. There's going to be more danger to these operators that are even hosting these private parties, because now, some giant Karen in Denver is kicking up dust, and people
Should
are
be
going to
decided in divorce court, not criminal court, right?
Man.
The guy's wife is the
Judge Judy
complainant.
updates.
The guy's wife is the one complaining, who owns the place.
Yeah.
Clearly a lover's quarrel, and now whole industry has gotten involved.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I wish the best for all those operators fighting this, and I really hope that, the regulators open their eyes and they don't fall into this trap, and start to, use unjust and unruly enforcement against these business operators.
Stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, big shout out to Brad Bogus. He said it's been a known rumor for months now, but nobody collected the paperwork until about 3 weeks ago, like on this. Like this is like, dude, like this is the game done changed, man. You got people openly snitching on each other and just contradicting like their own interests. And they got to realize, when you do stuff like this, like, yeah, you might win that one battle against somebody that you don't like locally, but that when that hammer drops, you will get inflicted with wounds as well. You will be part of that collateral damage, and you're hurting the industry. You're hurting your own business interests in the long run. So that one little bullshit victory that you're getting off of this for whatever personal reasons, just remember that you take a half-second step back and look at the big picture. You're hurting the community. You're hurting yourself, and you're just making more of a reason for these politicians to go with corporate players, because they don't have to deal with a little bullshit, petty bullshit like this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Stop snitching, you guys. It's not the move. People need to get back to the code of cannabis, and it's just not the thing to do. But at the same time, like the city of Denver, you need to get this regulatory thing out from your behind, bro. Because the reality of this is that if people want to host an event on their own private property and allow for the consumption of cannabis and whatnot, that should be their the fact that they're a property owner, that right to do that. And even if they lease the place, as long as the property owner is allowing it, then they should be able to do whatever they want to do on their property, so long as they're not harming the general public, which they are not.